Hello viewers, my name is Jace Clover, and I have a great review for the April 27th, 2014 USW pay-per-view entitled USW Call to Greatness 9. This pay-per-view really brought home the gold when it comes to professional wrestling pay-per-views, and if you paid $59 for this pay-per-view, then you really got your money's worth for every single match on this match card, especially the main event. This pay-per-view deserves a long review, which I can hopefully give, but I don't know if I'd be able to deliver as much review and coverage as possible. We start the pay-per-view off with the kickoff match in the first match slot, Titanfall and Ash. During the match, at one point Titanfall had Ash for a superplex, and Ash fought down, got back to his feet, and then lifted Titanfall up for a suplex position, and then DDT'd him, yet Titanfall did kick out. The match went a very long time. It had a lot of competition. It was very high-paced, very entertaining. The crowd at one point was chanting, "We love this." And mind you, this was just the kickoff match, the first match on the match card out of apparently 17. And as you may know if you watched the pay-per-view or if you bought the ticket to see it live in Newark, New Jersey, which you would have been very lucky to be one of the 15,000 that got the tickets in the first 3 hours of them being available. As you would imagine, if you watched the result, then you would witness Titanfall defeat Ash. That was a very great match. It was very high-tempo, very high-paced, not boring whatsoever. This match delivered everything that it was capable of, and Titanfall won in a very, very, very hard-fought victory. The second match on the card featured DDog and Dustin Raymond. Now, as you would imagine, and as I predicted, Dustin Raymond easily picked up the victory over DDog. The match did not last long at all. This match was, even though it did actually have a high tempo. It had a high tempo, but it was not capable of what it was imagined to have the potential to be, and this match did not have potential at all, so it didn't even live up to average standards. As I said before, Dustin Raymond defeated DDog. I forgot how. I think it was pinfall. But he used the diamond cutter, and it was literally out of nowhere. The third match on the match card was Benny Franklin and BP Fierce. Benny Franklin is a very, very, very tall competitor, actually the second tallest competitor in the USW at the current moment, and BP Fierce is one of the strongest and well-built performers on the USW roster to have ever stepped foot in a ring that was owned by Kyle Reese. He is one of the most aggressive guys when it comes to wrestling, and one of the most successful when it comes to wrestling, not in terms of championships and awards, but in terms of victories and in terms of performance and in talent as well. BP Fierce was pounding away at Benny Franklin. Benny Franklin was in the corner, and at one point BP Fierce went to go and spear him in the corner, but Benny Franklin moved. BP Fierce went straight into the metal pole, or the metal corner, and went like right out of the ring. He went right in there and then dove right out of the second rope. He just went sailing. I think he was at like the middle of the ring, and dove, missed the spear, and then went straight out the second rope. Benny Franklin just like sat down in the middle of the ring and just looked on as he was like, "What just happened? Did I do that? Am I responsible? Don't sue me." yeah, Benny Franklin. At one point also he went for a superplex off the top rope, but BP Fierce countered, kicked him in the gut, and then had an uppercut, knocking Benny Franklin down to the mat, and then did a backflip, which I did not expect, and I believe most of the people watching did not expect BP Fierce with the build of his standard to do a backflip. Sadly, he missed, and Benny Franklin moved and then hit him with a big boot and defeated BP Fierce. But BP Fierce put out a great match at the biggest event in USW, and this is probably the best pay-per-view that ever went on to USW Cult of Greatness, even any USW event. The fourth match on the slot was for the Unified USW Tag Team Championships. Fernandez and Gringo defended against CED and ED. The match wasn't too high-paced. It wasn't very entertaining. It was kind of boring. Not as much as the DDog and Dustin Raymond match, even though DDog and Dustin Raymond didn't last as long as the tag match did. But during the match, CED went for a front flip off the top rope and missed, ran right into a super kick by Fernandez, and then ED clotheslined Fernandez over the top rope. Gringo then went for a DDT on ED, and then CED and Gringo went for a clothesline and hit each other, and both went down to the ground and just kind of flattened out in the middle of the ring, waiting for their partners to get back on the apron. And then Fernandez hit a super kick on, it was either CED or ED, and covered them, and Fernandez and Gringo are still the Unified USW Tag Team Champions. The next match was the fifth match on the slot, or the card, and it was Switchblade vs. Blade. These two competitors were on the biggest tag team to ever step foot in USW. They won the Unified USW Tag Team Championships, I think 6 times, and Blade got a little jealous. I don't even know if they had a script for this. I don't know if this was just a to fill up the match card for Call of Greatness 9. If so, then they did a very good job of choosing who would face off. Even though the match did not go on for long, Blade did, I guess, all he could against his tag team partner. You would expect more from them because they were tag team partners. They would probably know the others, one another's, I guess you would call it, maneuver combinations, but Blade wasn't able to capitalize, and Switchblade is much taller, much bigger, much fitter than Blade, and Blade is mostly like a speedy kind of high-flying type of wrestler, and he couldn't match up to the skill and strength that Switchblade had. Switchblade easily picked up the victory over Blade. Next match was the 6th match on the card, and it was Prophecy versus Rain. Now, both these men were in the Blue Belt Championship tournament, and both men lost to Chain Reaction and James, which I'll get into farther into the match card and the review. Prophecy and Rain, both high flyers. Prophecy with a little bit of a vicious type side in him, and Rain with a more of a technical type ability within him. Both wrestlers matched up well. This match lived up to its full potential, and frankly, I think USW should have scripted the tournament part of the matches, because this match would have been great for the Blue Belt Championship. Although once you realize what the or once I tell you what the Blue Belt Championship match kind of escalated into, and what this match kind of ended up becoming, and unfortunately what this match ended up becoming in the outcome for the Blue Belt title, you'll realize why they left it as it is. But at one point, Rain went for a frog splash from the top rope, missed, and then Prophecy hit him with an elbow to the back of the neck, which injured Rain. Details on that injury aren't yet released by USW, but I expect they are going to be released by Wednesday Night Intensity this upcoming April 30th, 2014. But Prophecy defeated Rain after kind of going after the neck a little bit more and kind of putting a lot of wear and tear on it. The next match was the 7th match on the card, and it was a metal chain hangman's match. Alex Martin versus George Martin. And these two competitors matched up very well. They matched up with a lot of strength, a lot of aggression, and Alex Martin and George Martin ended up going at it non-stop. At one point, Alex Martin beat down George Martin with a chair, and then George Martin did the same later to Alex Martin later in the match with the same chair. And then to end the match, Alex Martin had, I think, George Martin running after him, and he turned around and kind of flapjack, which is kind of picking him up by the leg and then putting him over his shoulders and like dropping him down. But he dropped them. I'm not even sure if he meant to do it, but he dropped them into the metal chain noose, which is what you use to keep the neck, like hold the neck, whereas you can hang them in midair. And even Alex Martin was stunned, and then he watched George Martin pass out, and he won the match, defeated George Martin by pretty much choking the living hell out of him. So that happened. The 8th match on the card was for the Extreme Championship and a ladder match, and the match lived up to more of the potential that not a lot of people expected the match to provide, and the match served well purposes. Most people did not think it was going to be a good match because of the fact that there aren't too many scripted scenarios with these two competitors, and so they don't have much of a backstory. And I think if you look at some of the Wikipedia pages for the USW pay-per-views, you'll see that the background, they don't involve MC4 and Crimson Red that much because there aren't really any scenarios or scenes where these two competitors are butting heads or are arguing, and they're not mostly featured on Wednesday Night Intensity, so there's not really a backstory to these matches. But Crimson Red ended up getting his face smashed into the top of the ladder, and MC4, I forget what he did, but he did something, knocked Crimson Red off, and got the Extreme Championship, so MC4 retained the Extreme Championship and defeated Crimson Red in the ladder match. The next match was the 9th match on the card, and it was Tall Man Chris Ross versus Lane. Easy win for Chris Ross. Well, I wouldn't say easy, but Chris Ross, the tallest guy in the roster. Lane, maybe the most athletic guy in the roster, but athletic kind of does overcompare height, but not in this match. Chris Ross almost completely dominated Lane and almost easily won. The next match on the card was the 10th match, and it was Alexander Rotten versus Ezra Hills. And this match pretty much had two powerhouses going at it, and both performers had a lot to do in this match, and it lived up to pretty much the same potential that it was expected to live up to, which was kind of having these two competitors just kind of throwing haymakers at each other and kind of just letting it all go with the punches and the right hands and the fists, and yeah, so Ezra Hills ended up winning, I think, with a big boot or something. Wasn't a great way to end the match, but it ended the match, and Ezra Hills beat Alexander Rotten. The next match was the 11th match on the card, and was one of the best matches of the night. Dwayne Porter, 3 or 4 time blue belt champion, versus Yo-Yo Joe, I believe 1 time USW World Heavyweight Champion. This match really served up to its purpose. Not completely sure how long it took. I think it was one of the longest matches on the card. And it was pretty much a fill-up match, and they chose amazing competitors to fill up this spot on the card. And Dwayne Porter and Yo-Yo Joe went back and forth. Porter hit the abandoned ship, and Yo-Yo Joe hit I forgot what it was called, the string something or whatever, and they both hit it like 3 or 4 times, and Dwayne Porter ended up winning after he did like an elbow drop or an elbow cut to the face, and then an elbow drop, and I think that's when he won. So Dwayne Porter defeated Yo-Yo Joe. The next match on the card was a 12th match, and it was Capital versus Wilbur. To the shock and dismay of many people watching and who predicted this match, Wilbur defeated Capital. It wasn't too long. It was kind of Wilbur, who's a bigger as in size-wise competitor, versus Capital, who's kind of like a guy who loves to get into fights and loves to just kick ass, and kind of didn't suit the purpose to this match. Wilbur won. The shock and dismay that he left most of the critics in was kind of the highlight of the match, and so Wilbur defeated Capital. The 13th match on the card was possibly the second best match of the night. Canon versus Western Light. This match was crazy. This match... Now, I'm not sure what this means for Canon and Enigma, because I'm going to tell you the outcome of the match. Canon was in control of the match, had Western Light down, was going up for the cannonball backflip, was about to go up to the top rope, but then he started hearing, Enigma, the character Enigma, who debuted tonight. He started hearing him. He was on the Titanfall or something. I think it was like an audio tape or a videotape or whatever. Got distracted, and then got down in the ring, looked over at the ropes, just got distracted. It may have been scripted how the ending happened, because I don't think you could have a match that was real and end it that way. But Western Light hit the lantern on Canon, and Western Light defeated Canon. Next match was the 14th match on the card, and this was for the Blue Belt Championship. The finals of the tournament, Chain Reaction versus James. Not too much happened in this match. It was kind of a fill-up for what happened next. And James defeated Chain Reaction. James, the one who, out of the entire tournament, was the least favorite to win the Blue Belt Championship, won it, and you'll realize why he won it right now. Because the 15th match on the match card was for the Blue Belt Championship. James defended the title against none other than Enigma. James had been celebrating, and then Enigma came out through the crowd with, God, I don't even know how to explain it. It was one of the freakiest things I had ever seen USW do. Enigma came out with a full mask and complete, what seemed to be, complete either paint or covering from, to cover his arms and his face and his, legs and all of that crap. He had a full face mask on, so you wouldn't have been able to see if he was, even if he didn't have the, if he did, which he did, have, none of the colored parts of his body showing, then you wouldn't even be able to see by the face, because his face was completely covered. The mask that he had on was completely covered. There was no way of seeing. Even his eyes weren't visible. But that happened. Enigma came out through the crowd and kind of said continuously until he got in the ring, I am the Enigma, in a bunch of different sorts of ways, and got into the ring and kind of mesmerized James into defending the Blue Belt Championship against him, and then hit some kind of move and pinned James to become the new Blue Belt Champion. So Enigma is the new Blue Belt Champion. The next match was the 16th match on the card, and it was for the USW World Heavyweight Championship. Majigeta defend the title against Lone Wolf. During the match, there was a lot of risks taken. There was a lot of power thrown around, and Majigeta, like, crushed Lone Wolf throughout most of the match. Lone Wolf ended up coming back and started kind of like breaking down the maneuvers that that Majigeta was trying to go at. Lone Wolf tried to hit a move and missed, and then Majigeta ducked again, kind of pulling off a Zach Hardy when he like ducks under two like clotheslines or whatever in a row, and then got up and did the decapitator, which is his kind of clothesline finishing maneuver where he like knocks your head off pretty much. It's like that powerful of a clothesline. He just takes you down immediately, and Majigeta won. He successfully retained the USW World Heavyweight Championship, and now the final match in the match card, the 17th match, the main event, the Career versus Streak. No, the Career and Streak versus Career and Streak, no holds barred match for the USW Championship. Zach Hardy versus Morbid, or Zach Hardy defends against Morbid. Now, I said it in the predictions that I thought that the Career and Streak versus Career and Streak match, like, stipulation would bring a lot of, like, kind of, like, destruction when it came to that. Like, in this point of like, final reaction, and they would just be blown away. And then you add the no-holds-barred stipulation to it, and that brings it even worse when it comes to your hopes and everything when it comes to who's going to win. It makes it even like harder to predict. And then you also add the determination of the competitors fighting for the USW Championship as well, which puts it at the highest scale. It puts literally 4 things on the line: a man's career, and his streak, in a no-holds-barred match for the USW title. This match was all-out hectic. This match lasted about 38 minutes, which was, like, amazing in terms of a non-scripted wrestling match, especially with the kind of wrestlers that this match involved with. Zach Hardy was bladed. For those of you who don't know wrestling terms as well as a lot of wrestling fans, when you are bladed, you are cut open or gashed from the head. You start to bleed. And Zach Hardy was bladed for the first time in USW and since like 2000 and maybe 11 in WOW, and that was a sight to see. It was after Morbid pile drove Hardy on a ladder that was not hanging but pinned up against the corner and gashed his head open, while his head ended up sliding back down the ladder into the middle of the ring. This match lived up to its potential and even more. This match went on for so long, and this match really just absolutely proved its point that USW is a point to put on the map. I know I've been like mumbling around today, and it's just I'm still in shock after last night and the result of last night's matches, and the outcome of the match. Your winner, after 4 cardiac face plants in a row, your winner, the ender of the 7-0 streak of Morbid, keeping his career and still the USW champion, Zach Hardy. Zach Hardy defeats Morbid. Yes, you've heard me. I'll tell you one more time. Zach Hardy defeated Morbid in a match that lasted about 40 minutes. And this match lived up to its expectations and even more, once again proving its point that USW is a spot to put on the map. The USW may take over for TNA when TNA goes out of business because of not being able to, have the necessary needs for for any of the fans' reaction or love or desire. So I think TNA is going to go out of business, and I think USW will take over for TNA. Hell, they may even get their own spot on a TV network, possibly Spike, considering Spike's looking for new organizations or industries or whatever to sign with them. So, and talks have been with WWE about putting up main event there. There have been a lot of talks, and I think USW may be a top contender if they wanted to sign up with them. But here I am saying or telling you the results and the recap, and after all the carnage and all the dust settled from the carnage of USW Cult of Greatness 9, probably the best pay-per-view to ever be produced under Kyle Reese's ownership. That's the recap. That is the results of the pay-per-view that we have been waiting for almost a full year. USW Cult of Greatness 9 is over. All the matches have been done. The results are in. The results have happened. The pay-per-view is concluded. And so has this video and this review. I'm Chase Clover. Remember to like, favorite, and subscribe for more. Once again, I'm Chase Clover, signing off.